evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. I am joined by our Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. Let's give her a big hand for carrying H.R. 51 to a markup tomorrow, and you will hear from the Congresswoman of just what that means for us. I also want to acknowledge that we've been joined by the chairman of the council, our Representative Garcia, DC Vote, and our veterans for DC Statehood. Let's give them a big round of applause. I also want to acknowledge and thank members of our team, Statehood HQ here at City Hall, Beverly Perry in the Statehood office, and Jean Kinlow, and the entire team. Thank you for that. So you know what we're here to talk about. We're talking about Washingtonians being tired of being second-class citizens. We are tired of politicians who are sent to D.C. to represent their states interfering with our state. We are tired of taxation without representation, of sending $6.5 billion every year to the federal government without one vote on how to spend it. And we are tired of watching bill after bill die and judge after judge confirmed in the Senate and not being able to do a single thing about it. And we are very tired of the fact that a very important question was considered by the Senate of the United States, and we didn't have two voting senators to speak for us. But as those bills die, so too are Americans. Americans are dying from gun violence, lack of affordable housing and health care, and from the out-of-control opioid epidemic. And here in D.C., we have the values, the political will, the commitment to do better, and we're locked out of the national conversation. And we know what the solution is: statehood for Washington, D.C. So tomorrow, I'm asking you to do just like you did when we had the first hearing on statehood in more than 20 years, to fill the United States Congress with D.C. residents who demand statehood. And so with that, I want to introduce our congressman, and she's got a big job tomorrow on that committee. Now, half of them, they're good. The other half, she has got to work diligently with her colleagues to make sure that the markup on our bill happens tomorrow. And so I want to introduce now our Congresswoman, Eleanor Holmes Norton.
Well, thank you, Mayor Bowser, for inviting me to our State House, because that's what you were about to become. It's about time. You see those numbers up there? Those are the numbers that set you apart, but demand that you be included in the Congress of the United States with everything that everybody else has. So we appreciate the way the district keeps track with its neon signs. And I want to thank the mayor and the city council for making sure that outside our centrally located City Hall, the Wilson Building, visitors and tourists alike can see what we pay, this extraordinary number. We pay their government, our government, without representation. Everybody knows, I think every school child knows, that during the Revolutionary War, the rallying cry was not freedom now. The rallying cry was no taxation without representation. Only in the nation's capital is that still the rallying cry. This remains true for us despite our nation's founding principle that no resident should be taxed without representation in the government, in their own government. Yet today, the District of Columbia Uh, our residents in the District of Columbia not only pay taxes, that's bad enough. They pay the highest taxes per capita in the United States of any jurisdiction. So if you don't remember anything else I say, remember that figure. Highest taxes per capita. Our residents contribute more than 22 states who have full representation do to support our government. The taxation issue strikes at the very heart of our case for DC statehood. Many reasons for it, but there's no reason quite like the taxation issue. DC residents pay the very same federal taxes as other Americans. In turn, we demand the same representation. Fair is fair. Nobody likes paying taxes, but the residents of the District of Columbia particularly do not enjoy paying billions and annually millions of dollars to support the federal government without the representation their taxes have purchased. Tomorrow, the House will take a historic step to right this wrong. Thanks to the leadership of our chairwoman, Carolyn Maloney, the House Oversight Committee on which I serve will mark up and importantly will vote on H.R. 51 to send our D.C. statehood bill to the House floor. For 219 years, the citizens of our nation's capital have not been equal to other Americans. For 219 years, Congress has ignored this inequality and disenfranchisement on their very doorstep. Tomorrow, that changes with a vote in committee. Before 2020 ends, that will change as the House of Representatives votes to make the District of Columbia the 51st state of the United States of America.
Thank you, Congressman. We'll be right there with you. And now I'd like to bring up Chairman Phil Mendelson.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser, and thank you, Congresswoman, our warrior on the Hill, Eleanor Holmes Norton. I'm here to echo what the others have said, which is that we want to see a great turnout tomorrow and that we're looking forward to the historic occasion. I say this with some sarcasm, actually with a lot of sarcasm. I look forward to hearing the debate about why we shouldn't have statehood because of parking, or we shouldn't have statehood because sometimes we have elected officials with ethical issues as if somehow that's unique to the District of Columbia. Or listening to the discussion tomorrow about how we're not ready for self-rule, for home rule, for full home rule, even though we are arguably in the best financial situation of any city or state in the United States of America, given our finances. So I do look forward to the debate. I don't look forward to those aspects of the debate. And I'll remind folks what I have said before, which is that the value of statehood is manyfold. Not only is it the right thing to do in terms of democracy, but it will make a real difference in terms of our ability to self-govern. You know, we can't really get P3 projects off the ground because of congressional interference. We can't amend our jury service laws without congressional approval. We can't amend small claims court rules without congressional approval. Years ago, we suffered real public health consequences, which are the legacy remains today when we couldn't do needle exchange because of congressional interference. The list is actually quite long. We saw it a year ago with the federal government shutdown and how it affected us. Although we had enough autonomy that we were able to keep going and our finances were strong enough, we were able to keep going. Still, we were hurt as a government because of congressional action. And it's time that we get away from that we get out from under that. And that's what the vote tomorrow on statehood is about. So the message is we want to see everybody turn out. This is really important to the citizens of the District of Columbia. And I want to thank our warrior on the Hill, Eleanor Holmes Norton, for putting up with some of the bad arguments and for making the case. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Phil. And let me also acknowledge another fighter on the Council of the District of Columbia, Anita Bonds. Thank you, Anita, for all that you have done for statehood. And another member of our statehood delegation, Senator Paul Strauss. Thank you, Senator Strauss. And we'll take a few questions. Questions, press questions, questions. Yes, sir.
Josh Rosenthal, Fox 5 DC. A question I would have preferred to ask you afterwards, but there's a video making the rounds right now.
Okay, we're talking about statehood. Any other questions?
Mary, this video.
Questions about statehood right now. Any other questions from the press?
Particularly heinous killing in this district. People tell us that they fear for their safety. It's the 4300 block, 3rd Street Southeast. 2 men hop out of a truck, shoot someone at close range. There are 2 very young children very close by. Have you seen the video, and what would you say to families?
What I would say, and what I suggest you should say to your viewers, if they're watching a video that shows a crime, and I'm not sure what video you're referring to, is to please call MPD right away. 911. You can also text MPD anonymously, and somebody will give me the text line. I'm not remembering it right now, because we need your help. 50411.
We have talked to police, and I tried to talk to you after this. Your staff knew this was coming, and I'm not trying to
ask your question. What is your question?
What do you say to the families?
I just told you. What I want everybody in the community to do is get in touch with us with information, because I assure you, someone knows who the perpetrators are, and they need to be brought to justice. Right. Any other questions about statehood? Yes.
Could you give us a sense if the markup is successful, when the HR 51 will hit the House floor?
Well, I can give you this assurance that before this year ends, it will hit the House floor. And no one can tell you, because the leadership has to meet every week to decide which bills go to the floor. Once the bill is marked up, it'll be ready. We have the strong endorsement of Speaker Nancy Pelosi. We have the strong endorsement of the whip, who has written an op-ed piece, and he's the one that decides what goes to the House floor. And by the way, you will hear tomorrow, because they come here, the members of Congress come here, you will hear fodder like the kinds of incidents that occur in every city, in every state, where there are killings, where there are accidents, and you will hear Republicans bring up this fodder time and time again. It means that those of you who are coming to the House, you will watch, and just as the mayor was not distracted just now, I want to assure you that we will not be distracted as just those kinds of issues are raised, which have nothing to do with whether or not you who pay federal taxes are entitled to the same rights as everybody. You will hear just that kind of junk brought up by Republicans in the House, and you will hear us say, that doesn't matter, sir.
Statehood, statehood, statehood. Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Good job. Thank you.